Hello, everyone. It is Sunday night, and we are coming to you live from inside of Bat City Comic Professionals in Bradenton, Florida, to help you wind down your weekend. As always, I'm your host, Shannon, aka Small Press Shann, here to talk to you about the latest and greatest in indie and small press new releases. But of course, before we can wind down our weekend with books, we've got to figure out what wine we're drinking. So today we are drinking Monfort-Bellevue, which is a Medoc. Medoc. Okay, a Medoc, which is a type of Bordeaux. Matt, tell us what do we need to know about this? It says it's a blend of Merlot, Cab Sav, and Cab Franc.
That's usually what a Medoc is.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty consistent with them.
Got it. And they're just, and why is it not just called a Bordeaux? Is it because they blend all those grapes? Like, is Medoc since it's from Bordeaux, why isn't it called a Bordeaux?
I think Medoc is the region. The specific area, I'm not really sure.
You're not really sure. Okay. Well, this says that this wine group, though, has been around since 1844. So that's pretty cool. They've been a wine merchant in that area, and it doesn't really tell me anything about the flavor. It just says that the color is intense and purple, and that it has depth and body. That's all it's going to tell me. So
Medoc is a region of Bordeaux that has gravelly soil and is a special area of that region with with their own special type.
Special. It's special.
It's special.
Yeah, right.
It's our first one.
It's our first one, yeah. And I mean, we really like Cab Francs, and you know, there's some good Cab Savs that we like, and Merlot will probably add a little bit of sweetness to this that will give it a different flavor. But a lot of times when Merlot is mixed in with those other things, it doesn't have as much sweetness as usual. So,
It says dusty cherry and slight pepper.
Dusty cherry and slight pepper.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm assuming the dustiness comes from the gravel, if I had to guess. I'm not going to be able to smell anything. My nose is all allergy.
It's very cold.
The wine is cold? Oh.
It's cold outside.
Okay, I was like, why would you have cold red cabs?
Cold outside.
It is cold outside. Yeah, you can't really smell much. You can't either.
It doesn't have a strong smell, but it's very, very rich.
Oh, it is very rich. That's a lot of body.
Yeah.
Very
dry.
Mm-hmm. But thick in fruit flavor. I'm not even sure. I definitely can taste how this blends Merlot flavors into it. I feel like that's what I'm getting more of right now, which means that later it'll have more of that spice if you're saying there's pepper and dustiness to it. But I'm definitely tasting some of that Merlot flavor in it.
It's more Merlot flavored, but not Merlot textured.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more of the cab texture with the Merlot flavor, but not sweet. Not super sweet like I just said. It doesn't feel like it's a super sweet wine, but it does have the flavors that end up in a Merlot.
I really like the aftertaste.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice cherry kind of plummy strawberry aftertaste.
Yeah, definitely tastes like the plummy aftertaste for me, for sure. Well, we're gonna keep drinking this throughout the show, and I'm really curious to see how it opens up, because it is something that is from such a long running company, and so I know that obviously they have really great wines, and they probably. If they have that many flavors listed in your listing, I'm sure that there's going to be a ton that come up with it for us. Yeah, you're still looking at
the aftertaste is nice.
Then aftertaste is really is, and it lingers. So a lot of them, only the alcohol lingers. I don't feel like I'm getting any alcohol flavor on it, at all, which is really nice. It's very smooth in that sense.
They're usually very fancy.
Yeah.
Medocs usually.
Medocs are really fancy.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, so we had, we're going to be drinking that, like I said, but we had some fun this week at Bat City. I feel like everything has blended together over the week, and the month already, the month of January is flying by. But we had manga meetup this past Wednesday, which was a lot of fun. People coming in and talking about all the mangas they're reading right now and how much they love the different books. And then Thursday night was our Ladies and Non-Binary Nerd Night, which was a blast as always. So much fun. It's so great to have everybody come together and to get to meet new people and have some fun with that. And then on Saturday we had comic creation workshops, and the kids came up with some great stories. We had had a lot of kid creators who were ready to go, who were ready to put their stories together. And we had some kid creators who attended Miss K's art class and were able to use what they learned in Miss K's art class last week to go with their comic creation stuff this week. And it's really awesome to see that growth and development from our kid creators. Coming up this week at Bat City, oh my gosh, I'm like, what does happen this week? I don't think there's anything on Wednesday, but Thursday is Creator Meetup, which I'm really excited about. It's going to be an awesome Creator Meetup. If you are a local comic creator or local creator of any kind, it's a really great opportunity. We'd love to see writers, artists, everybody coming together in this. We always talk a little bit about what we're working on. We have some peer-to-peer review time, and then we also talk about some things that we want to do as creators and things that are important for us. And I will say that we have talked about the possibility of having the comic creation workshop that we do with the younger kids, actually like bringing that back. We do it every 6 to 8 months or so for comic creation workshop during Creator Meetup. And so it might be another time where we see what everybody can come up with in one of those moments this week. But we do have that going on. This Saturday at noon is Stories, Blinkers. That is our kids book club. So if you have kiddos who you want to learn some cool reading techniques, if you have kids that love comics and you want to get them to love reading even more, all kids that come get a free comic. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. That's at noon on Saturday. And then just a reminder that next week, the 30th through February 3rd, is Comic-Con The Cruise, and Matt and I will be on it. We are so excited to be on the cruise again. This is year 2. We will be going on that boat. You can join us on that ship as well. It is still open for tickets if you're like somebody who's like, you know what, I have some extra vacation time, or I'm retired, or I just want to go out and have some fun. You can still actually purchase tickets for Comic-Con The Cruise right now, which is going to be a blast. There are so many cool celebrities and cool artists. We'll be there. We're going to be doing some programming on the ship throughout that week. It's going to be great. The store will still be open. Check the social media for any hour changes or anything like that. We will not, the 30th through the 3rd, we will not be doing any comic purchasing from you. Like if you have collections you want to sell to us, we will not be purchasing them. Really, the 29th through the 3rd of February, we're not going to be doing that. We also will not be having grading or pressing drop-offs. So if you are planning on doing that, make sure you get it in really before the 29th, because starting on the 29th, we're going to be out for the cruise, and so you want to make sure that you get those in before then, because Matt will not be here and Katie will not be accepting drop-offs while we're gone. So get those in this week, preferably before Sunday this week coming up, and give us some time to get your collections processed and your CGCs and everything ready to go. That said, our February calendar will be dropping in the next week as well, so you can start planning what you're going to be doing with our February events. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And you know what? I'm going to take another drink of this delicious wine before I jump into the comics. Oh wow, that's starting to get like more fruity. Like you can almost taste the different pieces of the fruit puzzle.
I like it.
Yeah, me too.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm. And again, I think it's definitely one that would be good for food as well, because it does have so many flavors. So I think it's going to blend in really nicely with food.
I think this is also an advanced wine. I would not start here.
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that, I don't think that the average, if you haven't drank wine before, this is probably going to be I don't know what I'm drinking. And wouldn't necessarily be your favorite wine. But if you are somebody who likes wines, and if you like any of those things, if you like Cab Francs, Cab Sauves, or Merlots, it's got something for each of you. So, I
think this may be the reason why people don't like red wine. If you tried this one first, I would imagine you'd say, I don't really like red wine that much.
Really?
If this was the only red wine that you drank. But if you already understand red wine, I think this is going to be a nice complex offering.
I feel like people don't like red wine because of the tannins, the kick that you get from them.
Yeah.
This one I think doesn't really have that, but I think it has a lot of mixed flavors that would be oh, that's I'm not sure I like that, but
interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, we're going to talk about some comics now because this is a decently big week. We're starting to get back into our regular size piles, but it was a great week. There were so many good comics this week, so we're gonna jump right in with Transformers issue 28. This is from Image and the Skybound imprint and our Inner John universe. This is such a good issue of the series. Robert Kirkman took over recently on the Inner John Universe Transformers line, and he's really got a lot to say. You can tell that he is a long-running Transformers fan, and that this was a big moment for him. But he is in this issue. If you don't know, of course, in all Transformer stories, we see the Transformers come to Earth. There is a battle between the Autobots and the Decepticons for the world. What I do like about what the Skybound universe has been doing for this is that they have kind of given us a point where Optimus Prime isn't necessarily just that ultimate good that we always see. Optimus is kind of that war-torn general at this point, and he feels like he is making a lot of the wrong choices, and we're actually seeing the above the Prime. We're seeing the Magnus come in to play in this, and how we often need that. And in this last issue, we found out that the new Magnus, that our current Magnus was stepping down and was passing that mantle on to RC, and so we're getting to see that in this issue, which is really, really cool. And we're seeing Optimus kind of, talk about the balance and the importance of having a Magnus. But we also have been seeing a big thing in this where the Decepticons that they've helped through, that they've captured in the war, they've actually restored, because the Autobots, of course, are trying to be good at all times. And so they've been restoring the Decepticons, and some of them have returned to, to the dark side, to the Decepticons, and are ready to battle and are trading that information. But a lot of them are actually starting to see, like, hey, the Autobots aren't necessarily the bad guy. And we're seeing those, like, choices that you have to make. And there is a really, really great line in here where we've seen, the Decepticons kind of, like, fighting between themselves, like, over the idea that, like, the Autobots have saved them. And there's just this really great moment where they're talking and they say, there will come a time when you are told to do something you think is cruel or unnecessary, or something bad will happen to someone you care about, essentially, if you don't do that. And you will see how callous and hateful the Decepticons really are. And maybe then you'll understand my actions, or maybe you still won't, but at least then you'll know who you truly are. And I'm like, Robert Kirkman is saying some really great things through this Transformers. And again, you can see the love that he has for this. And so if you're a fan of Transformers, if you're a fan of Kirkman's writing in general, we're really seeing him, like, pun and entirely intended, firing on all cylinders with this Transformers run, and you should definitely be picking it up. We've got Geiger issue 20. This is from Image Comics and the Ghost Machine imprint and their Unnamed War universe. The Unnamed universe is really, we're finally starting to see how that takes off in this. So if you don't know the Geiger story, this is about a man whose family, there was a war that had a nuclear Holocaust experience in it, and he attempted to save his family by putting them in the bunker, but he was left out and became radioactive. And because of that, he spent a lot of time through this world, like in this futuristic world, this wasteland, trying to find both a cure for the radioactiveness of himself, but also kind of being the hero. And over the course of the last 20 issues of this arc, we've really seen him realize that no matter what he does, there's still bad people in this world, and like it doesn't really seem to matter, and he's kind of over it. He's like, you know what, I'm not going to help people anymore because the people I thought were good end up being bad, and there's just no point, like nothing gets better. Well, he has that moment and he's ready to kind of give up, and yet our unnamed soldier comes to us from the past and is like, hey, I'm the Northerner. I was a part of a different timeline where the South won the Civil War, and I've been on this quest to kind of figure out how to save your timeline because I don't want you to end up like mine. And Geiger's like, well, it's a little late for that, like the world's already destroyed. And he's like, well, you can help me rewrite that and save the day. And Geiger, who again is like, I don't want to help anybody anymore, is now on this quest with him, almost just to prove the Northerner that it's like not possible to save the day, but is like, you know what, I'll take you where you want to go, and you're gonna see just exactly how much it doesn't work. It's definitely, we're starting to see those crossovers of this like unnamed universe, and it is getting super good. We've got G.I. Joe issue 17. This is also from Image, Skybound, and your Inner John universe, the other half of your Transformer story. And if you've been following along, we're currently in what is known as the Dreadnought War. This is part 5 of that, of the 5-part arc that we are seeing. And basically, Cobra Commander has gone out and trying to find this elusive supply of Inner John that he wants to claim. Meanwhile, Deathstroke is kind of trying to subvert the authority of that, and so he sends these Dreadnoughts out to kill Cobra Commander. At the same time, we see Duke sees that is happening, and so Duke goes to try to stop it and capture Cobra Commander. They end up both being captured together, working together over the course of this 5-part arc to try to stop these Dreadnoughts. And now that the Joes have arrived, it's business as usual, with Cobra Commander doing all of the backhanded, tricks and traps and things like that. And also some big revelations for Duke, because Duke is very much against the Transformers and the concept of Inner John at all, and he has to come to terms with some different approaches to that in this issue as we go into what is going to be the next arc of what is happening in this G.I. Joe world. We've got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 14 from IDW. This is that we've just had Jean Luen Yang take over, which has just been fantastic. You can tell, in the same way that I said you can tell Kirkman has always been a Transformers fan, you can tell that Jean Luen has always been a Ninja Turtles fan, and it's shining through. If you haven't been reading this new run of Ninja Turtles, basically at the beginning we saw that the brothers were all separated and they were very much against each other, and it was all because of what happened at the end of Sophie Campbell's run and the loss of Master Splinter. And in this, in the previous arc by Jason Aaron, we saw that the boys have finally come back together, and they're slowly starting to work together again, and they've just kind of got that settled. And now this mysterious creature has shown up and is killing all of the villains in town, and the turtles are like, look, you can't, we have to defend the villains. And Leo's like, I hate this, but we have to defend them because it's our job to remind people that justice is something that is served, not just dealt onto people. And so we need to make these people stand trial and to face their punishment the right way. And we've seen them kind of fail at that in different ways. And in this issue, they actually find themselves having to work to save Karai, the granddaughter of Shredder, and the leader of the Foot Clan now. And as much as that hurts them, they have to actually learn to swallow their own pride against that. But they also learn what exactly the Yujigama, which is fighting against them, may be after. And some big moments for the Turtles come their way in this issue. We've got Minor Arcana issue 13 from Boom Studios. It's slow coming to get Minor Arcana, but this story is still going, and we're just falling further and further into the depths of the emotion that is going to come our way. If you're not reading Minor Arcana, this is a story of a woman who is kind of estranged from her family in the small town that she's lived in, and she is forced to come back when she finds out that her mom has cancer and she isn't going to make it. And unfortunately for her, not only does she have to take care of her mom, but she has to start running her mom's psychic company for her and doing tarot reads. And it's in that moment she realizes that her mom is a fake, but she herself might actually have these powers. And while she's doing tarot reads for different people, she is actually discovering there is a dark underbelly to what's been happening in this town. And she's able to actually see this other realm and these things that are happening. And there's also maybe this secret society of evil people that are able to see her through what she's doing. It's starting to get really twist and turny as we discover what exactly is going on in this town. And let me just tell you, we have no idea. But neither does she, because we are really truly kind of following this from her mindset and her point of view. And it is only trapping us further and further in her darkness as we continue these issues. And I don't know where Jeff Lemire is leading us, but it is going to get darker before we get to a solution for sure. We've got Blood and Thunder, issue 9 from Image Comics and the Skybound imprint. This has really ramped up as the story has gone on. It kind of started just as a story about a young girl who wanted to be a member of a certain police force in a futuristic like space society, who was chasing after a criminal. And as we chased that criminal, we actually learned the exposition of this world, in that essentially humans had come to this space world and we're trying to steal all of its resources and enslave essentially all of their people through their own capitalistic like means. And we're kind of realizing that humans are in fact the bad guys in this world. And they've taken all the knowledge, they've enslaved all these different people. And now that she's learned that, while she's still after the bad guy who is a criminal who escaped from prison, she's also like, now I'm also after these humans, and specifically this one man who has just done all of these terrible things. And so she's teaming up with different people that she's encountered to one, protect this robot woman who is pregnant, but also to also protect all of the people and to fight back against the terrible enslavement that's coming, that she's suddenly realizing. And we are also realizing that there is something special and secretive about her, and we get little tastes of it each issue. And I honestly I can't wait to figure out what is actually what is so different and special about her that makes her who she is, and how's that going to play out for her. We have The Future Is, issue 9 from Rekka Comics. This has been such a fun one, and we've seen a lot of people who are fans of things like X-Men and those classic superhero teams really picking this up and enjoying it. But if you don't know the story, The Future is about a group of hackers who are trying to make the world a better place. And they've kind of put themselves in, they're led by a man who made the wrong choices the first time around. And so they're kind of put their own team together to fight against these different evils. And in this arc, we're seeing that team kind of go on the next adventure after the one where it's like, we built the team to stop the evil thing. Now it's like, okay, let's be proactive and let's actually go after things that aren't just revenge activities. And so they've been trying to help out this woman who is a doctor who runs an institute for kids who are supposed to be gifted. And she's like, I need help. Somebody's attacking the students. And it's all coming through cybernetics. And so these people have come in and are trying to figure out what exactly may be going on in this world. And as they do more and more research, they're starting to uncover just how far this could go. And in this issue, we're investigating a different institute that may be responsible for it, but we kind of learn that there are bad guys all around, and you can't really trust anybody. And we're not really sure who these bad guys are, but we do know that our team is in danger, and so we're slowly trying to figure out how to protect our team and these kids all at the same time. We've got Free Planet issue 8 from Image Comics. This is by far my favorite issue of Free Planet. This was the Aubrey Sitterson definitely had some really great things to say through this issue, and it's so good. It's all about essentially, so Free Planet overall is about how it can't actually be a utopian society, but one planet decides to kind of build that, and the way that we expand our worlds and worlds around us just kind of becomes more and more messy. And in this one, we are specifically talking about expansion protocols that were explored, and this follows a soldier who is I dedicated myself to the expansion. I've been sent here to deal with this planet, and my job is to essentially be the missionary to these people and to tell them about our great government and also our great religion and how they need to follow along with it. And it's just this one soldier who's there, and he's got a voice in the chair. He's got a girl in the chair who's telling him, walking him through everything. And she's like, hey, you need to eat. And he's like, oh, I don't need to eat. The gods will provide for me. My faith will keep me safe. And I have to make these other people follow. And as he's going through this and he's fighting against all these people who are fighting back, at first she's like, I don't understand the opposition. And then slowly he starts to realize oh, wait, these people, the opposition, I understand the opposition, but also there is something dangerous and dark here, and I don't necessarily need to be fighting against these people, and why am I here? And he starts to kind of question it. And then the second half of the book, like that's all the staple line, which I love, and I'm going to point this out again, like the use of this black page, because he's going through all the thoughts and he's like, I'm just going to fall into this darkness. And they put this at the staple line, which I think is really great, because everything after that is him questioning his government and his religion and everything that they like, the battle that he's forced into. And they're like, don't worry, just remember the prayers that we taught you. Just remember that you're working for your government. Just remember all these things. And he's like, that's not going to save me. And we just kind of see the collapse of all of that for this soldier on the second half of this book. And it was really, really cool the way that this team did that through both their art and storytelling. It like really balanced really well. And one of the things that Free Plant that we talk about all the time is that there's really heavy exposition mixed in with the story itself. And I like that in this one that they really focus more on like the action of the story, but when they did have the exposition was at the beginning and the end, and it really, really balanced it well, because it's like, oh, like, yeah, they had all of this stuff happen, and then it's kind of like the commentary on that, like it's almost like a history textbook showing you the experience, but then like the rewriting of like what the history textbook would actually say in regards to it. Totally nailed it on this, and I think that like this was such a good issue. I'm like, if you're thinking about Free Planet, I actually think you should read this issue first, just to see like the vibe and the thing that they're trying to put together, because I think this will draw you into the world almost more than the first issue did, and really get you into it. We've got Space Ghost issue 7 from Dynamite and their Warner Brothers Hanna-Barbera line that they've got going on right now. In this issue, we're just kind of following different adventures that Space Ghost and the kids go on, and this one they are checking out something that the kid's grandfather is working on, and they kind of they're trying to build that relationship with him now that their parents are like lost in space and time, and they don't really know anything else. And he's built this machine that's this antimatter machine that's supposed to create all of these robots and different things that are going to help the world. But of course, like, he's kind of a mad scientist in the way that he does it. And once something goes wrong, there's an attack on the situation, and there is an explosion, and the grandfather kind of is injured, but also kind of loses it a little bit. And it puts Space Ghost in this awkward position of having to come between like the kids and possibly their grandfather, as this battle just gets really, really dark. It's not over yet. We're left a little bit on a cliffhanger for what is going to go here, and our kids are in trouble as they are trying to find a way to reach to their grandfather through the mess that he's created, and it puts them in some dangerous situations. I'm going to take a drink really fast. We are drinking this awesome, what is it, Monfort-Bellevue. It is a Medoc, and it's so far has been delicious. So let's see what it tastes like now. That's just like, now I'm starting to get a little bit of that pepper on it now, which is really good.
The flavors are brighter. Very much so.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really tasty wine. Kind of just want to like drink the whole glass.
We have more Medocs for future live streams.
Yay, more Medocs for future live streams. I had to take a break though before this, because this is such a good issue. I wanted to like be prepared. We've got Catacomb of Torment. This is issue 7 from Oni Press and their EC Comics line. I'm so glad they brought back EC, like specifically like the horror and all the different things. But this is, we talk about it on the thing where I always say like the anthologies like almost never make it to the picks of the week. This one actually is like, it's there. There were so many good books this week, but this is one of those times where I always say the anthologies hardly ever make it because it's rare for all 3 stories to be so incredibly good. This one nailed it with that. The first story is called Teaching Moment, and it's all about a school of kids and their teacher who are in a zombie apocalypse, and they're basically stuck in this school, and they're not able to leave because zombies are everywhere, and their only way in and out is to get resources. Is they have to call on the police to come in, and the police are constantly like, oh, we're busy with other things. We'll get there at a moment. Oh, well, we were on our way, but we couldn't really like get in. Oh, well, what do you really want from us? And just different things. And it just, it's very much a commentary on a very specific instance that happened with a school where they weren't able to get the help that they needed in the timely manner that they needed it. And Greg Pak really, really nails that. And as somebody who we were very close to that story at the time, it was really well done an analogy for that with the zombie story, and you absolutely must check this one out. The second story in here is called, what do they actually call it? I think they just call it American Dream. Is that what it's called? Yeah, and it is all about this Memorial Day kind of sell. They're talking about somebody who's going to go off and join the military and all this stuff, like they're having the furniture sale, and they're all helping like with this big barbecue to celebrate the time. And one of the girls is buying a mattress, and they talk about this perfect patriotic mattress that the government has created, is specifically created by like the Department of Defense, and it's called the American Dream mattress, and it's cheaper because it's got this special stuff inside of it that just makes it great and wonderful. And I'm not going to show you anything else from that because you have to read it. And then the last story in there is called Smile More, and it's about this girl who gets a job at a corporation that says, like one of those call centers, and they're like, you need to smile at all times when you're talking to customers, and if you want to get ahead in this capitalistic society, you need to smile, and we will ensure that you do that. And the way that comes about and the way their HR handles situations is quite insane, and often a reminder that HR is there for the company and not for the employee in this story, for sure. This is very much like, this one wasn't like specifically announced like with a theme, but they all kind of go together, and absolutely 100% like a great anthology of just like the terrors that are out there in the world, in most horror movie kind of spins on all of them. We've got Cruel Universe. This is Volume 2, Issue 6, also from Oni Press and their EC Comics line. And these are going to be more of our sci-fi horrors that we're going to see. And the very first story is called Chum, and it is all about a group of scientists who are trying to make dolphins that are kind of like humans, and about a man who's a sailor who really wants to find this beautiful woman that he's been communicating with, and kind of have a nice experience with her. And I'll let you read and see how that goes. The second story is called Silk, and it is all about a museum that really wants to get the most out of their donors, and so they're trying to throw this epic party for them. And their butterfly exhibit has to go down because it's the end of summer. So they decide to put in a spider exhibit with these chemically enhanced spiders that they get really cheap and are definitely going to be outlawed. But they're like, hey, that'll at least get us more money from our donors for this party. And that doesn't necessarily go the way that any of them plan. And then the last story is all about a little girl that is on her own. It's just her and her teddy bear, and there is an alien invasion, and just one of those reminders that there's, you never know what's out there, and there's just some creepy moments that come in that story that are so good. But yeah, if you like anthologies and you're looking for something, Cruel Universe is going to give you a little bit more of your sci-fi horror, and Catacomb of Torment is giving you, this week at least, a little bit of real life terror. We've got Toxic Avenger, issue 6 from Ahoy Comics and our buddy Matt Bors. Speaking of giving you some real terrors, Toxie is definitely dealing with a lot of them in this issue. In the last issue, Toxie was invited by the government to go to Washington, D.C. to talk about the experiences he's had in Tromaville and all of the dangers of what's happening there. And so they've brought him there, and he's met by the vice president and a senator who are like, hey, we want you to help us pass our clean bill, and the reason why we need your help is, your experience, you've literally mutated from all of the toxins in the world. Like, we need your help, Toxie. And he struggles a little bit with the balance of it all, because of course nobody believes him that the aliens, the Smogulans, are there, and also it's, he's not used to having the twists and turns of the nuances of talking to the government. And while he's in the middle of doing that, we have a problem happen when a mother of a former, foe of Toxie comes in and is like, I want to fight against you. Like, you need to know that Toxie is not the good guy. And it looks like it's going to throw all of Toxie's hard work off the rails, but he does still get his meeting with the president, and there's some big reveals and some big dangers coming Toxie's way as he spends some time in DC. And, you know, sometimes some of those are just going to be Toxie opening his mouth. Others are going to be everybody else doing the same thing. It's so good and poignant. And as always, Matt Porras nails it. We've got It Killed Everyone But Me, number 5 from Mad Cave. This is the wrap up of this story for us. And such a cool little thriller that we had going with this one. If you didn't read it, this is all about a group of teenagers who have a cabin in the woods kind of situation where they go out on vacation and everybody dies. And over the course of the series, we've actually seen different pieces of how that happened. We are constantly getting flashbacks. But one thing we have known the whole time is that there is essentially this demon who actually did all of the killing in that situation, and he is trapped as far as we know and as far as our main character knows. But suddenly in this future time of hers, our one survivor is starting to see death happen again in a way that's very similar to what happened to her, and so she is the only one that can kind of save the day. And unfortunately for her, that does mean releasing her demon so that she has somebody to walk her through how to get rid of another one. And so she's had to come face to face with that demon, and we get to see some big fight moments in here between her and the new demon and her own demon. But we also get to finally see the full reveal of what happened at that cabin as the story wraps up. And I definitely think Ryan Parrott nailed the balancing back and forth between those stories in this series and gives us an absolutely satisfying ending in this one. So if you haven't checked it out yet, I definitely recommend it. We've got Zicky, issue 4. This is from SHP, and it is their kids comic launch because they launched last year. So this is one of their kid titles that they're going to have. If you don't know, Zicky is one of those classic kid capers where we have Zicky, who's a young boy who has figured out how to travel to a different dimension, and he goes on all of these adventures. And one of the times while he's on this adventure fighting the Rat King, we learn that there is essentially an evil Zicky alternative in that universe, and he kidnaps our Zicky and ties him up and keeps him locked in there. And he and the Rat King go to Zicky's Earth world and pretend to be our Zicky and start trying to take over the world essentially through that. One of the cool things you'll notice as I flip through the pages is that it does switch art styles. So there's one art style for the regular world, and then there's this style that is Zicky's imaginary world, that alternate realm he goes to. And right now Zicky is trying to make his way back through the alternate realm to get to his family so that he can stop the evil version of himself and the Rat King from whatever dangers they're doing. And we are just now starting to see his parents kind of piece together that maybe there's something going on with all these rats in their house and the fact that Zicky is acting weird. And we're going to see how he handles that in the next issue. We've got Dynamite Blood Red, issue 4 from Dynamite Comics. This is such a fun book that brings all of your like female Dynamite classic characters together. We're seeing everybody. We've got oh my gosh, I almost forgot. We got Red Sonja, we've got Vampirella, we've got Deja Thoris, we've got Miss Fury, we've got Purgatory. They are all here. And they are all dealing with the fact that a mysterious virus has attacked our Earth planet that they're all on. And all of the men on this planet, like on planet Earth, have now become essentially zombies. But the virus doesn't seem to impact women. And so Purgatory has set up like a colony for women to keep them all safe and to kind of destroy all these zombies, not vampires, these zombies. But of course, she's at war with Vampirella because Vampirella won't join their team. A mysterious woman named Deja Thoris fell from the sky. They have found her, and so they are trying to figure out, because Deja Thoris says that there is a scientist on the planet that actually knows how to stop this virus from spreading and actually, has a cure for it, and which of course Vampirella is intrigued by because her partner has this virus and she wants to get rid of it for him, and the others just want to stop the war that they're facing. We have been going through Las Vegas right now trying to get to this, and in this issue we do actually find that scientist, and we learn that the story that Deja Thoris has been telling us isn't entirely true. And so who's lying, who isn't lying, What's actually going to happen? And is Vampirella going to kill all of them? Maybe. It's possible. She's not very happy at this point, so we can see what's going to go down soon. We've got Fourth Rope, number 4, and this is from Noir Caesar and Tokyo Pop. This is kind of giving us one of those manga-esque comics in Western formats. But this is all about a guy who really just wants to be the big name in this wrestling company that is an intergalactic wrestling company, and he's so excited that he's determined to get his chance, and they are finally offering it to him. And it's basically like, oh, if you go through all of these battles that we're going to assign you, we'll let you have a chance at the champ. But those battles that they're assigning him are basically like death wishes. And so the first one he's going to have to go up against is literally this dog who is known for completely and totally cheating and also killing his opponents. And so our guy is like, I don't care. I have to do this. This is the only way I have in it. Meanwhile, the current reigning champ, who is completely conceited and doesn't think that he should ever have anybody come after his title, is very mad to see that the company is kind of putting a lot of effort into this new guy and thinks that he's going to have to do something to stop this guy from getting anywhere. So a lot of classic wrestling drama, but with real stakes on the line. So we're going to see a lot more danger. But if you are a fan of Tokyo Pop's manga, Noir Caesar is a manga studio bringing us Western versions of manga comics for us to check out with some BIPOC characters in them. So it's really cool. We have Greenhorns, issue 3 from Keenspot. This is a long time coming. We've got issue 1 and 2 like a year or two ago. And so they actually re-released issues 1 and 2 in case people didn't get a chance to read them. So you can grab all of the issues that have come so far to catch up if you haven't read them. Basically, the series Greenhorns involves these 3 kids whose parents are mysteriously killed. We don't really know why yet. And they're sent to live in this old Western town with their uncle, who has a very mysterious experience of his own going on. And they find out that their uncle is basically this monster hunter, and their family is a family of people with different powers, and their dad actually didn't inherit the powers, and so that might be like why he struggled. Well, there is a bunch of kids going missing in this town, and it come to find out that there is like a vampire demon type thing, and so the uncle has been hunting it down, trying to stop it, and the kids are like, hey, we have magical powers too. We want to be involved. Let us know what we can do. And we're starting to see just a little bit of what these kids' powers are, because they weren't all revealed, and they're not necessarily all going to be good guys, which is also really cool the way they're doing it. Really fascinating story. I actually think that you should grab all 3 issues and jump in, because they're definitely building a cool universe, and these kids have so many things, like so many different things impacting them as their powers are coming to life. It feels very series of unfortunate events almost, but like for adults. So it's kind of really cool if you like that title. We've got Circus Maximus, issue 3 from Mad Cave. Always say that this is our issue 3 is our turn, and I have been waiting to see what the turn of this story is going to be, and we are seeing it come to fruition in a big way. This story is about 3 people who are trying to rob the secret, chambers of Nero during the point where he is burning Rome to the ground. And they have not only found, like, their goal was to get all of the loot and get out of town, but what they've actually found is not just all of the gold, but they have actually found the plans for the new facility that Nero wants to build himself. That is the reason why he burned the town. Like, why he burned the town is because he wanted to build a new facility. And it's like, oh, well, now we have the plans that prove that he did it himself. We also caught his people, like, burning the city to the ground. Like, we have all of the power. Except Nero has now figured out that these people are also, like, a part of it. And they kind of know a little bit of who's there. And so we're starting to see, as they try to get away, we're seeing all of the Roman soldiers, like, coming after them. And the fact that, like, they're in a very dangerous spot, and it's like, oh, you think that you have all of the power because you have this money and you have these these secrets that you can trade on, but like you also can't trust anybody. You can't trust the people in your group. You can't trust the people that you're hiring to help you. And so the further they get into this attempt at escape with the money, the like less likely it is. And I love it because we always see heist books and heist movies where it works out and it's like, oh, well, we took all this on and like, here's how we did it. This looks like a heist book where it might not work out for anybody. And I'm loving that, like at that third issue turn, it's like, I don't know how they're going to make it out of this alive. And we're going to see if that possibly can even happen. And I'm so invested in where these people are going to go for those next couple of issues. We've got Crownsville issue 3 from Oni Press. This is, if you come into Bad City, this has a Shann pick tag on it on the shelf because this is absolutely one of my favorites on the shelf right now. It's so good. Classic horror story coming your way from Rodney Barnes. This is about a man who is a reporter who has actually just lost his job. While he is speaking to his mom on her deathbed, she lets him know that her job had been working at a mental institution, and what they did was they actually were doing research on kids of color that they were taking from their homes and off the streets. And she's like, I experimented on our own people. I am a bad person. I deserve this death that I'm getting, but also like those souls aren't at rest. And I don't deserve my rest either. And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, I've never heard this before. So he goes to investigate. He ends up getting involved with a homicide detective who is investigating a strange death on the premises of the mental asylum, the institution. And we also follow this young man who has just become a security guard at that facility, who is starting to see things and experience things. And as all three of those stories kind of cross angles, like at this place, we are now inside of these facilities and we are learning that these souls are definitely not at rest. And there is a lot of anger, and somehow these three men are all tied to it and are now going to have to figure out exactly how to save the souls of these children and maybe make sure that the ones responsible get punished. It's dark, it's creepy, it's got so much to say. It's such a good book, and you're constantly like, what is going to be on the next page? Very much has those dark, like Silent Hill kind of feels where you're like, oh my gosh, there's something creepy around every corner in the book, but yet with even more of that like horror moments in your own like heritage coming your way. We've got Die Loaded issue 3 from Image Comics. This is a part of the Die universe, and I will say that like, you don't actually have to have read all of Die to read this. Kieran Gillen has done a really good job of working the first realm of the Die world into this new story, and always gives you the backlog to that at the same time. But it is all about a group of people who are sucked into essentially a D&D style game, a world of that kind of creation. And we know that every single person that's been sucked into this is connected to the people who were from the previous Die series, who were also stuck in this very game for a very long time. And it's kind of one of those, you have to find your way out. It's a very dark, it's a version of Jumanji, essentially. You have to go through all these different realms. You have to battle these things, and all the things are kind of from your own trauma and your own soul, but they come to life based in the way that the person who is inventing this game is. What's interesting about this series is in the first Die, nobody knew really what was going on. And these people, their family were all stuck in this game before. So they kind of have an idea of what they're experiencing, even if they have no idea what's going to come for them. And so they're like, okay, we have to do certain things if we're going to make it out, but also like, we need to destroy this so that this can never happen to anybody again. And in this issue, we had some big moments where a mother of one of the kids from somebody who previously was stuck here is dealing with the fact that she thinks she was a bad mother, and so Die is kind of hitting her with a lot of the pain and suffering of that. Meanwhile, we also learned that there is a chance that some of these characters won't make it out. And how are we going to save them, and can we rewrite the game before it even happens, is such a cool way to do it. Kieran Gillen is just a masterful writer all the time. We've got Peter Cannon Thunderbolt issue 3 from Dynamite, and honestly, this kind of feels like this could be the end. We might have only gotten a 3-issue story for this, or we're going to open it up for something else in the next issue. But this is the story of Peter Cannon, who was raised in a cult. And when the cult goes to do like their ultimate sacrifice, he is told to hide from that situation. And because of that, he's not killed, and he's able to like live and survive on his own. And for all he knows, he is the only remaining survivor other than the person who ran the cult that kind of led everybody to their death and then just went on to become like rich and successful and act like it never happened. Well, now Peter is going after this person to get that ultimate revenge, and it finds out that this person and him share a very similar face and a very similar life. And he also finds out he's not the only one that survived, and there is some more to this. There's more to the story, but Peter is going to have to actually invoke the very powers that he learned from being in that cult if he's going to save everybody. And again, like I said, this one kind of feels like the end of the whole series, but who knows? Again, they could open it up for some more stuff in the future. The Last Day of H.P. Lovecraft, issue 3 from Boom Studios. This is one of the most interesting concepts, honestly, for a story that I've seen in a while. This is all about H.P. Lovecraft being on his deathbed and essentially getting the Christmas Carol treatment, where it's the last day and you're in those like hallucinatory moments of everybody coming back to you that people talk about, like, oh, when you're dying, you know, you see your family dog, you see your family members that have gone before you, and like those weird experiences, like where you relive stuff. Well, he's kind of doing that, and he's having those moments. He's had moments with his ex-wife. He's had moments with other people. And at the end of the last issue, a friend came to him that was like, hey, I'm going to show you how you're a terrible person, and that's the legacy that you're really going to leave behind. You're not leaving behind the fact that you're a great writer. You're leaving behind all of the terrible things that you've said about people, and all of the terrible things that you put into your books, and all of the hatred that you showed in the world. And he's like, but you have the opportunity to change that. You can rewrite the history of who like H.P. Lovecraft was by putting out there into this world like all this stuff like at the last minute. Like you kind of make the choice of what's going to be shared, but at the end of the day, like you must remember that history is written by the people left behind, and they're gonna bring all of these quotes out to you. And it's really interesting to see because they do actually put in all of the things that H.P. Lovecraft said about people, and all of the quotes. Like there's some at the very beginning, there's like quotes that H.P. Lovecraft actually said about real people and how much he was racist towards people. And he's like, well, I got better, and I stopped saying those things. And they're like, about some groups, but you were still really racist towards other groups. And you're never gonna, like, people are going to remember that forever. And I do love that we are seeing this story that's like, hey, you can like, it's almost the story of death of the author. Like it's almost personifying the concept of death of the author. Is like, can that work live alone when a person who created it is not a good person? And this comic blends that story into like a real thing, dealing with the person on their deathbed. Like, you do also have to answer for what you did. Just because you created cool stories doesn't mean like your monsters aren't the monsters you created. It's the monster that you were. And it's fascinating to see. I actually, like, I want, when that book is done, I almost want to like book club it just to talk about like that concept and in general. And I'm really curious to see how they bring it all to a close, to see like what the actual point will be of the story, because we have yet to establish a point where we're like, hey, H.P. Lovecraft, it's okay that you were a bad person. Everything's kind of like, no, it wasn't. Deal with it, and like, here's all the things and all the ways that you were. And so, but in A Christmas Carol, we had a redeeming quality, but it's like, this is a real person. So is there room for that in the story? We're gonna find out. Captain Henry and the Graveyard of Time, issue 3 from Dark Horse and our Hellboy universe. Again, one of those Hellboy stories that has absolutely zero to do with Hellboy in the direct moment. And so this is all about a man who finds himself sucked into what is called the Graveyard of Time. This is a place that kind of stays outside of time and space. And he's trying to figure out how to save a professor who's been lost to that world. And while he's there, they're starting to talk about the time machine that this professor built. And we're also seeing all of the time machines from all the other people and all the people who have time traveled throughout. And they're being chased by these different time traveling demons, and like the ones who kind of like those wraith kind of situations where it's like, hey, you can't go through time, you can't mess with time too long. And so in this issue they find themselves actually being attacked by this like Galactus style time monster and his robot minions. And it's like, if we can't get past them, we can't get the stuff we need to get back to our times, being that wherever those may be for each of the people. And it's like, we're going to have to fight our way through this. And it's not what you expect at any point in time. But there is definitely something mysterious, like chasing them as well. And so they're like, we're going to have to face some more stuff before we get there. All right. I'm going to take another drink of wine. Again, we're drinking Monfort-Bellevue. It's a Medoc from the Bordeaux region. Now it's got a lot of pepper. Wow. It's way spicier now. I can feel it in my nose in a good way.
Yeah, very clean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the spice is definitely like the pepper and not like a aggressive tannin kick. Like in that one, it's really smooth drink too. Yeah. I like it.
It's like a refreshing like water kind of in the back.
Okay, that's real. I thought I was losing it. No, okay, yeah. Like I just thought that too. I was like, I feel like I just drank some water that's like flavored water.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Really nice though, like refreshing, not like oh, this is too thin.
Yeah, no, it doesn't feel thin. Like you get the thickness and like the way like wine like kind of coats your tongue and throat. But then like you said, like on the back end, it's like, oh, like it's like you took a drink of a wine and then you took a drink of water. And like
exactly.
Really nice and smooth the way that goes down. Yeah, I like that. All right, we've got The Monster and the Wolf, issue 2 from Keenspot. This is a new story in the Mark Spears Monsters world, and it's really a really great issue. We did not talk about, let me rephrase that, issue 1 of this story when it came out because it was a blind bag. And so we didn't open it up and talk about it, but we're going to today. So basically this is the story of this man who is on a quest to figure out, find a vial that can essentially stop him from having this monstrous like disease that is in him. And we learn all of what that is in issue 1. But he is trying to, he's telling us the story that there is a monster and a wolf. And his dad had always told him about this, and that basically the monster was essentially Frankenstein's creature, and how it kind of hated its life and it hated its creator and it hated everything, and how this wolf was told to like find the positive in things, and that even though it was a werewolf, it was, going to be able to find the good in things. Well, that's all in issue 1. Issue 2 takes us to a different version of the creation of Frankenstein's monster. And so in this, we are seeing a man who looks very much like the Dracula that we see in Mark Spears Monsters, but is not calling himself that. Approach Victor Frankenstein and say, basically, I've heard that of your research. I've also heard of somebody who has taken it far enough to actually reanimate somebody, and also tells him, like, essentially, you're missing the elixir of life. That's what you're missing. And I'm here to provide that for you and to help you with it, because I know that your son just died, and that you should bring your son back. Like, you need that. You need to bring your son. You need that moment back, and I can help you figure out a way to do that. And so we get to see this process of him creating his creature and building his own like new son, essentially, and how that all goes in. And then we do kind of see how that's going to connect back to the world that we created with this monster and the wolf. But what a interesting origin story for that, and way to bring that in, and also to build out this world, because we kind of, in the Mark Spears monster world, we kind of just started way, like, all the monsters already existed. There wasn't, like, it wasn't like we need to build out origin stories for them. It was kind of just, like, assume you know the origin of the monsters from, like, the Universal Monster Worlds. But it's like, okay, now we're going in and we're connecting these dots and we're connecting these pieces, and it's going to be really cool to see how that starts to flow into the Marcus Post Monsters world. Like, I'm really curious if the Wolfman we're seeing in the traditional monsters is the Wolfman we met in The Monster and the Wolf. I'm really curious to find out, because that would make the story even more textured and layered for sure. Our Soot-Stained Heart #2 from Mad Cave. This is like a steampunk version of Santa Claus, kind of, in a way. But this is about a young girl who is from a world where they kind of live on coal, and they're mistreated as a group. Like, it's very classist. It's very much like in this steampunk world, like, we have to have coal, and coal is just dropped here, and y'all are responsible for shoveling coal and putting coal into this, and you need to make a quota. And it gets to the point where she kind of gets wrapped up in this rebellion of people, and they're like, you need to go to the magical, like, Baron of the North and figure out what he can do to stop this, because this coal and this naughty list, essentially, and we're not getting paid, we're not getting food, this can't be what was meant for us to have, and so we need to go on this quest, essentially, to figure out how to stop this. And so she has now made it to what is essentially this steampunk version of the North Pole, and has made it to the Baron of the North, who is very much like a Santa Claus. And she talks to him, and she's like, look, all of this stuff, like, it doesn't matter all these things that you say you do, and this way that you say that you help these people. You've actually created a society that's killing its people, and that's harming them. And she's like, look, like, I will kill you all right now to save my people. And they're like, wait, like, you have this note that you wrote, like, just let us read this letter. And they read this letter, and they're like, wow, your words are way more powerful than your violence. Like, there's so much that needs to be done. Like, we need to help you, and there is another way. And so they start talking about, like, this magical thing that they've created that could possibly help the people, and we're gonna see, you know, if they're able to rein that power in and, like, take it to help the people. And what about the bad guys that are currently leading there, and, like, the people that are leading them. And it's a fascinating story that's got so much lore built into every issue. I don't know how they fit it all into every single issue, but they're doing it. We've got Where Does the Rainbow End #1 from Mad Cave. This is a prequel story in the world of Love Me. I am so excited. Love Me was a fantastic book, and I'm so happy that we're getting to see more. This is Francesco Perillo and Stefano Cartaselli, just, you know, giving us even more beautiful stories in this world. And this is following the birth and life of Gilda, who is the woman in Love Me who falls for the robot taxi driver. And so it takes place in the same part of New York City that they put Love Me in the same world where robots and people kind of coexist, but also don't really coexist. Robots are kind of forced into different spots of the city. And a robot finds a baby in a basket and decides to take it back to his zone of robots. And they're like, what are you doing? What is this? And he's like, look, it's a baby. And they all kind of decide that they're going to raise this little baby girl together. Because if the humans cast her out once, then they obviously aren't going to take care of her. And so we get to see her growing up in their world and kind of learning to fix robots and learning to love robots and believe in them. And we also see a little bit of the politics of how the robots aren't supposed to be interacting with the people in that way. But as Gilda gets to her 8th birthday, they start to wonder if maybe they should let her interact with humans and get us a little setup for where this might go. But also it totally makes sense that Gilda would fall in love with the robot after seeing even just this first issue. So I cannot wait to see more. This is going to be so heartfelt and adorable and so good. So great. All right, I'm going to do all 3 of these at one time, actually, because, like, back to back, because it is Mega Man week, apparently. So we're going to talk about all 3 Mega Man books that came out. So first up, we'll do Mega Man ZX. This is one of the Timelines books, which means it's just a random Mega Man story, one-shot from the Mega Man world. And we're going to see if I don't mix them all up, because there's 3 of them all at one time. So I'm just going to sit here and read it again. No, this is this is following Mega Man ZX, and so this is putting us in a point where Mega Man is kind of having to build, like, it's a different Mega Man, and we're following along as we've got what is he, Vint, where Vint is wanting to, like, kind of find his place in the society, and they're like, his little robot hands and stuff are trying to, like, pump him up, and they're like, hey, you got this, like, you're gonna be a great little Mega Man, like, don't worry, it's gonna be fun. And he's like, I've heard all this before, I don't really know. Well, he's called in to come in and help the people and to fight against some stuff, and so we get to see a little bit of action as he learns more about what it means to be Mega Man, specifically ZX, because he is a specific new Mega Man, like, that is, like, his title, like, he's, like, there, and they kind of, like, throw it at him almost condescendingly when they do tell him that that's, like, who he's going to be as a Mega Man. And you get to just see a little bit of this growing. This, again, one shot kind of just on that timeline of the Mega Man, and we see these Mega Man timelines issues coming out and giving us little pieces of the puzzle, which this is also. This is Mega Man Legends on the timeline as well, so this is going to be another one of those one-shot Mega Man stories that just gives us some little back history. And this one, oh my gosh, this one is all about, like, him going up against, like, another kid who they're both, like, searching for. Him and his partner are searching for this item, and another woman, like, comes in and she's like, I found out about it, I want it, you can't be the one that's going for it, I get to go for it. And so you just got one of those very almost like Pokemon Quest feelings. This one feels more like a video game than any of the Mega Man stories, because he is like, I'm gonna try to get I gotta get there first, and we're going on the adventure. We see all the different characters come in, you see all the, like, ridiculous, like, I love this, like, you see these video game moments where they're going through and an obstacle comes up and they get knocked down by the obstacle, and then they're trying to get back into it. And so a lot of fun to see. And of course they maintain, like, they're trying to get, this is the eye object they're trying to get. They're, like, trying to get this object, figure out what it does, see if it can help them. It can't actually necessarily, like, do all the things that they want, and so they're trying to figure out what exactly the purpose of this is. And then we also have Mega Man X-Zero. Now, this one is actually leading us to a Mega Man, like, at least miniseries, because this does actually have a to-be-continued kind of moment for us. So this is going to be, if you're looking for, like, more Mega Man, this one actually has to be continued at the end. And I believe this is the one somebody told me was written by like a big, like, Mega Man, like, video game, like, blogger. But this is going to kind of set up a world where we're actually seeing Mega Man go against some of his enemies. And he's facing an enemy that he says he's faced before, but now that enemy is choosing a different name. It's, like, basically morphed into a new one, and it's become this, like, vile enemy that he is forced to fight. And as Mega Man is trying to fight against this specific villain, we're seeing all the other kind of characters come in. We're seeing all the pieces of the team that it's like, this person, maybe they're going to the wrong way, maybe we're building out this team, like, X Mega Man, like, X thinks this, Mega Man Z, like, is Mega Man Zero is, like, prepared to, like, give you, like, Zero is going to give you all of this information, he's training you to fight, like, you're going to be okay, like, this is what you got to do. And yet Mega Man feels very much like he's on his own. I want to see if I can find some more of, like, those team shots and stuff, but feels like he's on his own, and like, he's not being trained in the way he's supposed to, and that, like, maybe Zero isn't, like, setting him up for success, which is also why our bad guy kind of feels the same way. And so we're going to see, like, how that comes into play as we get more of this story unfolding. We've got that was a lot of Mega Man. We've got Holy Brawl #1 from Keen Spot. This is a fun new story. It's definitely something that I think if you're fans of things like Lenore and stuff like that, you're going to like the artwork for this one. But this is about a guy who is a priest that is called in to do an exorcism. and he goes off to this place, and he's specifically being named by the demon as somebody who should call. And when he gets there, it turns out that this young girl has been possessed, and another priest has been trying to work on saving her soul, and yet can't seem to stop this, can't exorcise this demon. And so this guy, who seems to have maybe a connection and a history with this demon, has to step in, and you just get a very ridiculous version of an exorcism. Again, it feels Lenore, Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, kind of like Invader Zim, all that style, like art. But it does set us up for our priest to have some bigger issues, and I don't want to show you the end because I feel like it's kind of really spoilery of where the story is actually going to go as he deals with it. But yeah, definitely check this one out for sure if you're fans of that world. We've got Glopple Girl, issue 1 from Keenspot. This takes place in the universe of the Glopple, but if you've never read the Glopple or anything connected to it, it does not matter. However, we do have issues of that if you want to check it out. This is a great one for kids and adults. It is actually geared towards the kid audience, but this is all about a young girl who is an orphan, and while she's at her orphanage, all she wants to do is just absolutely help, like, every person that she can. But it seems like every time she tries to help anybody, it just kind of backfires. And specifically one girl in the orphanage, there's named Mary, who's the bully of everybody, and our character, I believe her name's Natalie, is trying so hard to just help her not be a bully, and to also just to like understand that she's loved and valued too. And it just kind of just backfires absolutely every time. Well, a mysterious person shows up at the orphanage and is like, hey, I work for the Glopple. I have the ability to take one kid in and train them to become a superhero for the community. Do you have somebody who's just absolutely good and wants to help people? And it puts Natalie on this path to become a superhero, but it also kind of puts her friend on a path, or the girl she wants to be friends with so bad, it puts her on a path to be something else, and to kind of set us up with a world where, you know, you've got your good and evil, and it's kind of like, is it nature versus nurture? Is it the tortures that we give ourselves? And what kind of villains is she going to be fighting? And also, is this person really connected to the Glopple? I'm so interested to see, but it is our origin story for Glopple Girl and the fight that she is going to be going on. We've got Axicab #1, and this is from Nailco Comics, which is I guess an imprint at Antarctic Press, or right now Press sub-distributing for them. But this is a crazy little, kind of also an anthology. Like, we get 2 stories that are featuring the Axicab. One is the alleged origin story of the Axicab, which is something that people have speculated on. We've all heard the rumors of a dark taxi that if you got into it, like, you might not make it out alive. And this shows us that story, how it was actually originated, and how it is following a warden who takes some bribes from the mob and sacrifices some people in his prison in order to do that, and the comeuppance that he kind of faces because of that. And then we do get to see a second story, which is just about another person who's made some terrible decisions, a coach at a high school on a swim team, and his choices that he's made that's put his students in danger. And he one day needs to get away, and he decides to take it. The Axicab is a cab, and the Axicab is the one that picks him up. And we get to see the brutal attacks on that he gets. And I'm actually going to show you like one other page, because you got to just see the way that the Axicab is equipped to handle not only the people in the cab, but the people around it as it's going through. Just a great little, you know, kind of like an EC horror book, but that's all geared around things happening in this taxi cab. So if you're looking for another like dark horror, that's going to be it. If you're looking for a great comedy, though, we've got The Return of Babs with The Black Road South. This is issue 1 from Ahoy Comics. This is volume 2 of Babs. You do not have to have read volume 1 of Babs in order to read this. You can just go on this adventure right now. And Babs is a person you want to go on an adventure with because she is hilarious. She is our standard sellsword with the talking sword, trying to do all of the barbarian like battles that she needs to face. And in the beginning of this issue, she is actually going after somebody who wronged her as a child. And so she ends up in this like gladiator fight just because she wants to fight them. And then they're like, well, you won. Now you need to fight all of these other people. And she's like, no, I'm not really into that. And they were like, there's a lot of money involved. And she's like, I am in. And so she goes through all these fights and then suddenly finds herself loaded with money and makes all of the wrong choices with it. She is like, let's rent a really nice room at an inn, let's get super drunk, and let's just do whatever comes our way. And so her and her friend do exactly that, and make a lot of terrible choices. There's also karaoke in this world, which is amazing, but they get so drunk that they lose their money and are now forced to go on an even bigger adventure as they have to figure out what happens to their money. This is like if you took The Hangover and like Barbaric or like Conan or any of those kinds of things and like blended them all together. This is what you would get. And I didn't know that I ever needed that, but Garth Ennis has reminded me that I did apparently need that. He has informed me that that is a thing that I needed because this was hilarious and I love it. And I can't wait to see where it goes. And also, our editor notes say Ed on here, so I think that our good buddy Ed Cato might be the editor putting all the notes on this one, which would be super cool because I love that guy. We've got Exo Man of War. This is The God Hunt, Part 1. This is coming to us from Alien Books / Valiant. And this is the second part of the Steve Orlando, like, bringing back Exo Man of War. And so we just had a little mini-series where Steve Orlando showed us where we were. We were finding Eric, the man inside of the Man of War uniform, was on this planet, and he was no longer fighting against the Romans, but he was trying to help these people, these punks as they were called, deal with the battles of their own people. And after he saved them, he realized he didn't really have the contact and the information for the voice in his suit, Shannara, and he like had never really learned about her, and he was trying to figure out like how he could connect with his goddess. And so in this issue, he's kind of in the imaginary world that exists for him and the goddess that is the voice inside the suit that powers the suit, and is trying to figure out how to save her and how to connect with her on a deeper level. And he's having to face not only his own fears, but also hers in order for them to actually have this meeting point. Unfortunately, there is way more that's going to come from this. Obviously, like somehow getting to know her and experiencing her is going to actually lead to some dangerous things for Eric. And this is just the beginning of what it is that Steve Orlando's building for us. But definitely giving us a cool new look at the Exo Man of War story. Tomb Raider has come back to comics. This is Sacred Artifacts. It's issue 1 from Dark Horse, launched on the day that they showed us our first images of Sophie Turner playing Tomb Raider in the new movie. Not sure that this will connect in any way, shape, or form, but really cool to see the story. Allegedly, according to this story, Lara Croft has retired from being a Tomb Raider or an archaeologist in any capacity, and she is doing an interview in this story all about how in the past her mansion was burned down, and there was all this fire damage, and they're like, oh my gosh, like your home was destroyed, what have you been doing? And she's like, oh, I've just been doing all the do-it-yourself fixes. I've just been going through and trying to restore, and maybe I'll open up parts of the mansion for charity, and I'll do all this stuff. And they're like, wow, you're amazing. Meanwhile, all this while she's saying that, you're actually seeing what Lara Croft is really doing, which is that she's been actually hunting down a dagger, which is a sister dagger to a dagger she already has, which is a very dark and dangerous instrument, and she's trying to keep it out of the hands of some other Tomb Raiders who are very, very bad people. And so we've set up our big adventure in here because as Laura is doing this this interview, we are actually seeing what exactly we need to make sure that we don't let those people have the dagger for and all this stuff. So we are going to go on a big adventure with Lara Croft in the next 4 issues. Again, I don't know if it'll actually be connected in any way, shape, or form to what we're going to see in the movie, but it's cool that Tomb Raider is back in comics, and we've got another cool Lara Croft adventure to go on. We've got Something Beyond the Petrichor, issue 1 from Red 5. This is such an adorable story. It's going to be a big adventure, but it's also going to be so cute at the same time. This follows a a young woman who, and I actually just love this art too. Like the colors on this is so cool. But it follows a young woman who lives in a world where essentially acid rain has destroyed everything, and every day acid rain comes down and it destroys more of the world, but plastic can't be destroyed by this acid. And so she indirectly found that out because her dad had covered their house with plastic for a different reason, and it managed to help her survive. And now she lives alone with her stuffed turtle. And he, as far as she's concerned, and as far as we are concerned, he can walk and talk. And she is having this, she's like, okay, we are running out of food. And we need to figure out if there are other people out in this world. And so we're going to have to venture out. And he's like, absolutely not. Why would we leave? I love being safe in my home. Out there is rain, and rain is bad. We should not do that. And she's like, we are definitely going to do that. And so she comes up with a way that they could potentially travel through the rain, and get to the place that they need to go. And so they start on this adventure. This bright colored pages I'm showing you are actually flashback because we don't have any bright colors in our current world. But they start on this adventure, and there's just more dangers than you could imagine out in this world, obviously, and yet none of them are the dangers that they were prepared for. And so I'm really curious to see where this story is going to go. It's also a 4-issue mini, and I'm already obsessed with this little stuffed turtle, so just expect that I'm going to talk about him a lot, and if anything happens to him, I'm going to throw the book across the room. Just warning you all now, those are all things that could possibly happen, but such a good book, and I can't wait for more. All right, I'm going to take a drink really fast, and then we're going to talk about Pixelite. All right, first up, we've got Artillery. This is issue 2 of Artillery from Invader Comics. It's such a cool concept. This is about a world where art is magic. And the art that you, like, whatever your art is that you do, it gives you a different kind of magic, and you have different ways that you can use that art to kind of help. And the unfortunate thing is that art is also being stolen and destroyed, like with the rise of AI, and different things on the internet. Like, art is just disappearing. And actually physically, like, there's these certain paintings in the world that are the cornerstones of what allows imagination to exist. And they basically lead the connecting points, the gateway points, to allow this like magic of art to be able to come through to our world and to help people experience art. And if those paintings disappear, then so does all of the art and magic of the world. And unfortunately, we are down to the last 2 going into this book. And so this team of people have been put together. And one of them is a digital artist who works in Hollywood on film sets. One of them is a comic book artist, actually the comic book artist who makes this book. And the third one is a graffiti artist from the streets. And it's such an interesting thing because we have so many different types of personalities and types of arts coming together, and I love all of that. But there's so much more. Like, not only are we on like this art heist and those kind of situations, but we're also talking about the power of art and the fear of the fact that like AI is stealing art, and that it is destroying people's livelihoods, and that it is killing creativity. Like, we're having all of those conversations, but we also get to see this dynamic of this team because they were all brought together in the last issue, and they've never really talked about it. And so one of the girls is like, the digital artist is like, digital art isn't actually even what I want to do. I want to be a textile artist. I've studied like tactile arts forever, and like the way that you can tell how a building was made and all the different things from even the carpet and the drapes that are used in that building. She's like, but that doesn't pay money, and so I'm forced to do a different kind of art that I don't like. And like, our comic book artist is dealing with like being afraid of technology, and our other character, they're homeless, and so they're actually like even just afraid of, like, they have a meeting in a coffee shop and they're like, I'm waiting outside because I can't come in. They don't allow me to come in because I'm homeless. And so they even have the conversations of like what it's like to be like the artist who doesn't have a home, that doesn't have money, and also the ethics behind art in general like come up so much in this book. There's absolutely so many different twists and turns that come to this, and like everything is so poignant in telling us about the art world and about our experiences. And yet at the same time, it's a heist and an action book. And so all of those things happen as they move the story along towards different things. And so it's an absolutely cool concept. And I can't wait to see what they do to like bring this all together, because we are at the point also like on the action side where we've only got one more like painting like left really that like could destroy the world of imagination. And if imagination is gone, like, is magic gone from the world, and is art gone just in general. We've got Alice Forever After issue one from Boom Studios. This is the return of the Alice Ever After, Alice Never After. Like, this is the third part in that series, and yes, you do really need to read the other ones, mostly because they're incredible, but also I think it will 100% provide all of the context needed for this series. However, we are fast forwarding a lot. In the other series that we were following in the Alice like Ever After world in general, we find out that Alice's father has essentially been drugging her, and they've put her in this, like, because of her Wonderland experience, they like, and all the things that she believes she was doing, they sent her to live in a mental institution where they were actually going to perform a lobotomy on her. And she was like, went through all of that. And Wonderland was both like her prison and her safety place. And now we are seeing an Alice who is an adult, and she has her own child, and everything's kind of moved away from that, except all of these evil people are still in her life, including her father. And meanwhile, the world of Wonderland is struggling because Alice no longer visits because she has her child and she's grown up, and she's not looking for that safe space to go to anymore. And the Cheshire Cat tells everybody in Wonderland that if Alice does not return, that Wonderland will cease to exist, because the wonder that comes to the land is actually from Alice, and they need her to come back. The doorway that Alice travels through gets left open in this issue, and the caterpillar actually makes his way into the human world, and he is now a part of this manipulation and these dangers that they're bringing to Alice to try to force her back into Wonderland. This book is so good. Dan Panosian nails so much of the Wonderland world. There's not very many times where somebody like tries to do like let's stick the thing into the real world, and like let's try to like twist the metaphors of the book and things like that, and it works as well as this does. This works so incredibly strongly in all parts of this, and it's so good, and I'm so glad it's back. They left the volume 2 left off like we would never need more, but the fact that they came back to it and circled back to it is so good. If you didn't read the Alice series, but you read, like, Dan Panosian's also doing the Last Boy, which is kind of like the similar thing of this, but with like Peter and Wendy, and you want more of that, like jump over to the Alice side, but definitely for sure. If you have any like love for the Alice in Wonderland world, you absolutely need to read this series. It's so incredibly good. And then lastly, we have Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, Rite of Spring, issue 5 from IDW. I can't not put this in the picks of the week. Holy crap, Patrick Horvath! Like, what is happening right now? Like, this series has always been so good, but this issue is so like this. I don't even know like how we're doing so many cool things with this story and how it's so good, but it's such a page turner. If you don't know the Beneath the Trees world, this is all about a woman named Sam, who is a bear, who lives in a very like Richard Scarry-esque kind of world, a world where animals like have just the regular like city jobs and stuff. And Sam runs the local hardware shop, and in volume 1 we learned that Sam is also a serial killer. But Sam has never killed people in their own town, and kind of like, is part of the town, is part of the community, is a big part of that. And in volume 1 of Beneath the Trees, we saw Sam stop somebody who was killing in town because she didn't want to get caught. And also, like, let me protect my friends, but mostly because she didn't want to get caught. She didn't want people to see what she was doing. Well, in this volume, a woman has come to town who is, like, her brother is somebody who was killed, and she is, like, convinced that this town is the place of the killer, and like maybe it was the killer that was in volume 1, and Sam is determined to make her believe that that is the case. But there's also this thing like where Sam is like fascinated with this person and kind of like almost wants to get caught. Like Sam is like like so invested in the fact that like this random person who has their own little darkness has found Sam out through the internet and like has kind of like done their own investigation, and it's so impressive to Sam that she's playing with fire in such a dangerous way. And we get to see in this issue, we get to see Sam like really lose it for the very first time. Like Sam has always been cool and collected and like 3 steps ahead of everybody else, and they don't necessarily have that anymore in this issue. And it is so cool to see the rocky like the rock shake finally from underneath Sam, and how Patrick's gonna like wrap all of this up and put this all together. It's gonna be so good, and you're gonna want to own both volumes of Beneath the Trees and Beneath the Trees Rite of Spring. You need to, if you don't already own volume 1, grab that trade. It is such a good book. It continues to be a bestseller across the comic industry, rightfully so. Jump into that, and then jump into this. But also, like, wow, like I was like, Beneath the Trees, it's always good, and then Patrick just takes it up a notch in every single issue. So good. Check it out. All right, that's what I got for you. I'm going to show you all the other books that are in stock this week, flying through them so you can check it out and see what you also need to read. We've got Darkstalkers and Street Fighters Rogues. This is another one-shot from Udon for their Capcom line. Court, we have issue 5 of Court, which is the Children of the Round Table. And this is a fun little book that Tom Taylor is doing about kids in like the King Arthur Court kind of thing. We've got Doctor Strange, issue 2. We've got Masters of the Universe, The Sword of Flaws, issue 3. We've got Luna Snow World Tour. This is connected to Luna Snow's role in the Marvel Rivals world. Side-dimensional Rivals. This takes the Psylocke character from Peach Momoko's Demon Days and gives them another story. Spirits of Violence, issue 4. Action Comics, issue 1094. That's just insane to say. Supergirl, issue 9. We've got the Ultimates, issue 20, as we come towards the end of the Ultimate World. TMNT Journeys, number 5, bringing all those stories back to you. Star Wars Legacy of Vader, issue 12, which I believe is the last issue of that. Deadly Tales of Gunslinger Spawn, issue 12. Gunslinger Spawn himself hit issue 50 this week. We've got Aquaman number 13, which is our DCKO tie-in. The Avengers issue 34. We've got Batman and Robin issue 29. Battle World number 5. DCKO issue 3 this week. That battle is continuing on. We've got G.I. Joe issue 324. Green Lantern Corps issue 12. And the beautiful Black Cat with issue 6 coming your way in that G. Willow Wilson line, which is so good. We've got a bunch of trade paperbacks in stock as well. We've got a graphic novel for Wallflower, which is all about a girl who says she's seen flowers growing on everyone she meets, like poppies, daisies, everything. And that's kind of like given like her little magic. She's now meets a new student. We're gonna see a story of their dreams and their realities kind of merging together as these people meet and see where that leads them. We've got Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the Pink Power Ranger. This is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers The Return 1 through 4, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Pink 1 through 6, the reimagined from the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 30th Anniversary Special, which I believe is the special, the story that Amy Jo Johnson herself might have written in that special. But yeah, if you are a Pink Power Ranger fan, this is a great collection. This is only $24.99. So we've got 12 Reasons to Die. This actually says starring Ghostface Killah. But this
written by RZA.
It's written by RZA, right? Is that what I just saw?
Ghostface Killah and RZA.
Yeah, so this is for any of you Wu-Tang fans. This is Ghostface Killah and RZA teaming up with... Does that really say they team up with Matthew Rosenberg? Shut up. This is going to be, like, such a good book. This is 12 Reasons to Die, is a brutal tale of gangsters, betrayal, and one vengeful soul haunting the 12 mob bosses who conspired his murder. Created by Ghostface Killah and produced by RZA. This is a horror crime hybrid following multiple timelines and multiple artists. And yeah, written by Matthew Rosenberg. That's crazy. You guys got to check this out. Don't sleep on that one. We've got Terminator. The Terminator. This is Volume 1. This is issues 1 through 6, I believe, of the Terminator series that just has been coming out from Declan Shodley. 1 through 5. So if you are, it's really cool because it's an anthology style story. So if you're looking for more stories in the Terminator world that don't necessarily feature the Connors, this is gonna give you that. I think this came out last week. Maybe not. Maybe that is. I don't know. Either way. No, it came out this week. We have Gwenpool. This is the recent series that happened for Gwenpool. This is issues 1 through 5, the entirety of that story. We've got Poison Ivy Volume 6. This is issues 31 through 37 of the current Poison Ivy series by G. Willow Wilson. This is issues 31 through 37 of 6. I love that series is still going. We've got Ghost Pepper. This is the first volume of that. This is issue 1 through 5. This was a huge, huge fan favorite here at Bat City, so if you didn't get to see it, you definitely want to come check this out. This is the way to catch those because you're not going to get all those issues in single issue format anymore. Best of TMT Collection. This is what all do we got? Oh, this is like all those best ofs, which is going to have yeah, it's got Ray Fillet, it's got Old Hob, it's got Renette, Nobody. So it's a bunch of, yeah, it's the 6th collection of all those best ofs, and it's going to have a bunch of stories from all throughout the Ninja Turtles history. Godzilla Heist is the whole story. It's all about a young man who is good at robbing stuff and also good at bringing Godzilla around, and so they use that as a way to create a heist that they can get through, and twists and turns and everybody backstabbing each other. This is Pig Wife from Top Shelf Productions. This is accidentally trapped in an underground bunker. A teen girl must navigate the bizarre secrets within, and this gets weird. So if you're looking for a very weird, crazy story, I've heard nothing but insanely good things about this book on the internet this week, and so I'm really excited to read that one. This is this is reprint of a new edition, or is this the first time?
This week.
I know, but I'm just like, I know it's. I think it's Batman. This is Batman Rest in Peace. It's a shocking must-read saga that would change Batman and the Joker forever. And it's a Grant Morrison story in the Batman world, and so I believe it's the first. I believe it's just the new reprint. I don't think it's the.
Yeah, it's not a new story.
No, it's not a new story. I just didn't know if it was the first time it was in trade paperback, if it had been hardcover before. But it's at least a new printing for sure. This is called Fustic. And it is a graphic novel that is all about a 17-year-old who has always felt like the odd one out in their family of chefs because he doesn't like to cook. And this is his story of dealing with family, with sibling clashes, with different things about cooking, and just it's 3 siblings, 1 dish, and their mother's life on the line. It sounds like it's going to be one of those books that absolutely makes you cry, and very beautiful storytelling for sure. It's actually blurbed by the creator of the Magic Fish, so I already know I'm gonna cry. And then lastly, we've got in the official CGC guide to grading comics. This is actually written by CGC President Matt Nelson, and it has everything you could possibly need to know about how CGC grades comics, about how you should be looking at your comics, how you should care for your comics. This is like the Bible of comic grading, really. And everything like this, if you are sending a book off to CGC and you're like, what would CGC take off on this? You're going to find the answer to that in this. Like, they know this is the book. It's written by the president of CGC. So, we have these in stock now. It's really great. I mean, like, this even shows you, like, what are rust stains? How does this impact your book? Like, what is the importance of that?
And it goes grade by grade and shows an example of the same book in every grade.
That's really cool. And I know you said that there's like a check, like, oh, there it is. This one, right? The grade range impact cheat sheet. Matt loves this part. And these are really cool because these are hardcovers. And like Matt's had it for a couple years now, and his is a paperback. So it's really cool to see this in hardcover, and it smells really good. But yeah, shout out to Matt Nelson for helping us get these in stock, and also for making them. But this is, yeah, it's $40 for a hardcover, which is an insane deal for a hardcover anyway. But also, like, the fact that this is a textbook for $40, this will be the only textbook you ever buy for that cheap in your life. So definitely you're going to want to grab one of those. We do have them in stock. And speaking of CGC, I just want to give a shout out to our good buddy, Timmy Haig, who is currently, just announced on his Instagram that he is selling an Action 1, which was really cool. Timmy came through to CGC and had Matt and I go with him to be a part of the Action 1 grading experience and getting it ready to go to auction and everything. So I just wanted to do huge shout out to Timmy. You're going to see a lot more about that. We're going to be sharing some cool stuff that Timmy is up to with that book, because he is actually using it to benefit a lot of comic industry charities. And so we're really excited for his project with that Action 1. And also the fact that we get to hold an Action 1 is insane. And so that alone, thank you to me for that opportunity. We have lots of stuff going on this week. Don't forget, like I said, we've got Creator Meetup coming up this Thursday, where it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of creators out here talking about things that they're working on. Come work on your different projects with us. That is Thursday night. It's always a fun time. I believe it starts at 6:30. Saturday at noon is going to be our Story Spelunkers with all the kids book club. And if you like listening to me talk about books and how much I love them, tomorrow we are going to be going live a special version of the show on a Monday, because we are going to be doing our annual Bat-tastic Awards. So you're going to see cartoonist Anthony Piso joining me here as we go through all of the best of 2025. We are going to be giving out all of the awards: best writer, best book, best character we most want to be friends with, book that we didn't expect to like that we love. We're going to be talking about all of those things tomorrow live. Make sure you check that out. We love the Backtastic Awards. Are one of my favorite things we do all year long, and I'm so excited to have Anthony with us because he reads so many books, as you probably have seen in comments if you watch the show regularly. So we're really excited about that. So tune in tomorrow. We'll post all the information so you can get those links so you can watch it when it goes live. And until then, we got some great books coming out on Wednesday, so we'll see you in the shop. If we don't see you then, we'll see you next weekend, and happy reading, everyone. Bye.